Lieber Frank-Walter Steinmeier,
Frank-Walter Steinmeier,
Kollegen, Ministerinnen
colleagues,
und Minister,
ministers,
liebe Kollegen Abgeordnete, meine sehr geehrten Damen und
MPs,
Herren,
ladies and
Exzellenzen.
gentlemen, excellencies.
Berlin ist heute der Mittelpunkt einer globalen
Today, Berlin is at
Energiewende-Diskussion. Das
the
zeigt
center
die große
of
Zahl
an
der
international debate
Anmeldungen und
on
lieber
renewables and
Frank-Walter
on
Steinmeier,
the energy
ich habe den
transition.
Eindruck, es sind noch mehr
I think this
als
is very
beim
obvious
ersten
from
Treffen letztes
the
Jahr.
amount
Du hast
of
also
interest
mit
this event has
der
generated,
Einladung zu
and
diesem internationalen Energiedialog
Mr.
offensichtlich
Steinmeier,
auch
I think
ein großes Bedürfnis getroffen, vieler
you really hit the nerve when you invited people to come here and to work together and learn from one another.
Freue ich mich nicht nur darüber, dass viele hier im Saal sind, sondern auch,
I'm delighted that so many people are in this hall with us today, but I'm also delighted that there is a live stream that allows people to follow what is happening here, because I think, yes, there is a major challenge, but there are also major opportunities for social and economic progress and for people's lives to change for the better. It's been 3 months since the world community gathered in Paris and for the first time in history agreed on a global agreement on climate change. Almost all countries in the world have committed to a long-term target, that is, to limit climate change within the century to less than 2 degrees and, if possible, even to less than 1.5 degrees centigrade. Of course, policymakers always want to have long-term success. We always agree when we set ourselves targets that will apply only in 50 years' time, because it means that we won't be held to account even if these targets are not reached. The challenge is much greater for those who actually have to make sure that we take the individual steps, those who have to present their results every 10 years and have to show that they are on track. And unfortunately, everyone in this room will be tasked with actually developing these individual steps, and in 50 years others will reap the benefits. But this is not a small challenge. In fact, almost 3/4 of the carbon emissions that are generated are from the energy sector. And if we want to change this, we need to work together internationally. And this is why we, as ministers for energy, have a major responsibility. We need to make sure that we reach the Paris goals, and it certainly is a major task for this century to actually decarbonize our energy systems and to make them fit for the future. If we want to achieve this, we first need to restructure our economies. We need to move away from fossil fuels to renewables. And we also need to make sure that we sever the link between economic growth and the use of energy. We need to be doing this by using energy more efficiently. Whenever we discuss renewables, we also need to focus on energy efficiency. We need to bring down our consumption and still be able to have the same energy performance. This is a technological challenge that we need to look at. Ladies and gentlemen, Germany is a modern industrial country, and many of the countries you represent are the same or on track to becoming industrialized countries. And we have a major responsibility, not only because traditionally we've caused the largest share of emissions, but also because others will only follow suit if we actually manage to prove that the changes we implement in our energy systems don't have a negative effect on our economic performance. We also need to show that we don't have any social difficulties as a result of this. We will only be successful if we demonstrate that the energy transition can deliver both mitigating climate change and better lives for everyone and economic success and prosperity. This is a technological challenge, first and foremost. A technological challenge that we in the industrialized countries need to master so that others can actually use the same technologies to follow suit. We are proud of our industry and we want it. We want it to have a strong future. And this is why we can't play them out one against the other. They are not two things that are opposed, energy policy and economic policy. We need to have an energy transition that actually is not only compatible with a successful economy, but that actually generates more jobs and more growth. Just to give you one figure, if you look at the development of nuclear energy in this country, then you find that at the peak, it generated 30,000 jobs. If you look at renewables today, you find that there are more than 300,000 people working in this sector in Germany. That's 10 times as much, and these are highly skilled jobs, they are technological jobs, and they pay very well. So that's just one example of how change can deliver and it can give rise to an entire new sector. And more than 80% of the installations, the wind power installations for onshore wind that are produced in Germany are being exported. Of course, you know that Germany is a strong exporting country, and we are so when it comes to energy efficiency technologies and renewables. I'm telling you this because I want to demonstrate that we can do both. We can protect the climate, we can mitigate climate change, and we can create prosperity and jobs. If you want to create jobs and growth, you will, of course, have to produce energy not only in a way that is clean, but also you need to have energy security, and it all needs to be affordable. Because what we don't want is to make energy something that is extremely expensive and that is reserved to the richer people. Of course, the energy transition has started not only in Germany. Electricity generation from renewables is on the rise across the world, and last year, investment in renewable installations was a great deal higher than investment in new fossil fuel plants. In Germany, we generate almost a third of our electricity from renewables, mainly solar and wind energy. And if you look at other countries, Denmark, California and others, you see that they go in the same direction. We will continue to need fossil-fired power fuels for now as a bridging technology, but not in the long term. In the long term, distributed energy will be the way forward, and flexible generation. And this is particularly good news for emerging countries and for developing countries, because it means that they don't have to invest just as much in developing large-scale grids. Instead, they can invest in distributed systems. Jeremy Rifkin, who was with us last year, is a great visionary, and he actually coined the term prosumer. Households that generate electricity and also use it. And he said there are already millions of prosumers, consumers, who have become their own producers, generating their own electricity at near zero marginal costs around the world. If you look at all the rooftop installations in Germany and in other countries, you see that he's describing something that is already the case, that is already true. And you really need to have good guidance on this. We know where we are going. We want to mitigate climate change, we want to have energy security, and we also want to keep it all affordable. And for us in Germany, this also means that by 2022, we will phase out nuclear energy altogether. Incidentally, if you look at the cost of new nuclear power plants, you have a very good argument why you should go for renewables instead. At least that's our experience. It's a great deal cheaper than nuclear energy. We've just had the 5th anniversary of the calamity in Fukushima, and we know that we need to continue to transform our existing energy system. First of all, we need to curb the global rise in energy, in demand for energy. This means we need to be more efficient. We need more investment in research and development. To use less energy does not mean to have a weaker industry. On the contrary, if you conserve energy, you save yourself money and you are more successful and more profitable. So we need to sever the link between growth and energy usage. This is good news for the companies. They gain a competitive edge on the world markets and they are technologically successful. There's a lot we can do in technical terms. If you look at the physicist Hans-Josef von Weizsäcker showed that if you use the right technologies, you can increase energy performance and energy efficiency by 85%. And you need to have the right solutions and you need to have the right framework in place. And we can't simply leave this path simply because oil and gas prices are low at the moment, because in the long term they will rise again and the geopolitical risks will stay with us. And this is why we in Germany want to put efficiency first. We need to make people aware of the fact that efficiency will pay off in the long term. We need to be competitive. Our companies will be competitive if they are more efficient. Secondly, we need to do more to integrate renewables into the market. In the long term, it can't really be the way forward to basically have fixed prices established by Parliament. This makes sense when you have a new technology that is in its infancy, but at some point, of course, the market principles have to apply also to renewables. It was right that for Germany to support the technological developments in a very major way. And this, of course, helps many other countries as well, because they can use the same technologies at a much cheaper price than we were able to do at the very beginning. So we basically paved the way for these technologies, but now they are no longer small puppies. They are very strong dogs indeed. They have grown up and they need to face market pressure. And this is why next year we will be making the switchover from a system that was dominated by fixed feed-in tariffs to a system that is based on auctions. So the market will be determining the price, and I think that this is the way forward. It helps us to continue to expand the use of renewables, but to do so in a sensible way. And we also need to make sure that the market is ready to actually incorporate renewable energies and to cope with the fact that renewables will dominate the markets. And there's something else we must not forget. If we look at a city that is at Berlin, for instance, we need to be aware that even here the sun does not shine at night and we don't have wind all the time. So this means that we need to have backup capacity, we need to have fossil fuels, and the market needs to actually create the right framework for this, also as far as storage is concerned. So in Germany, we want the market to actually make sure that there is some backing for renewable energies, for backing up renewable energies, whether it's storage or whether it's demand-side management or whether it's other instruments. It has to work for the market. We also need a modern infrastructure that actually fits in well with renewables, because we need to be able to actually make sure that consumers can access this renewable energy. Strong grids are the backbone of any modern industrial society. We also need the energy transition to go digital. If you look at examples of the Internet of Things, say, or Industry 4.0, as we call it in Germany, then you need to look at the energy transition, because without digitization, the energy transition won't be successful. There are a lot of startups that are making use of this. I'm sure that some of you will be presenting your ideas at this conference. We need to bring these various elements together to form an overall system that works well and that delivers affordable energy in a very secure way. We're also delighted that energy is playing an ever more important role in the international sphere and that it is at the top of the agendas, because we need to work with other countries. And in Germany, we've started to talk to our electrical neighbors, to cooperate with them. And I think that Europe has to really move towards an energy union. We also have energy partnerships with non-EU countries, and they too demonstrate that we are willing to cooperate. At the last G7 and G20 meetings and meetings of energy ministers, a lot of cooperation agreements were signed, and IRENA and others are also very successful when it comes to actually providing networking and information about this. Ladies and gentlemen, so let us use this opportunity to discuss how we can successfully make the change from a system that was dominated by fossil fuels to a system that is based on renewables and that creates jobs and growth, that opens up new opportunities on the world markets, and that actually makes sure that the precious goods that are oil and gas are used for those things we really need them for, because they are much too precious for us to simply burn them to generate heat or electricity. We need these things for other things, and we will continue to do so in the future, so we should really make sure that we use them sensibly. Thank you.